Over the past year, I've been challenging myself to take the manga characters' teams to see if they could beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke in their home region. Because when your main goal is to tell a fun story, sometimes the team takes a big hit.
Wait.
So in this video, I'm taking X's team to see if he could beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of the Kalos region. His team might look pretty basic, but they've got the region's gimmick on their side, and in the manga, X was able to Mega Evolve all 5 of his Pokemon at once, which, if we bond with our team, we might be able to do the same. But at the same time, X only caught these 6 Pokemon, so just one misplay and we'd be down a team member. And if one of these guys ends up feigning, well...
I'm in danger!
So to start off our journey, I name myself X, which is actually this guy's canonical name in the manga. We look at ourselves in the mirror for a bit before heading downstairs and greeting our friend Y, who invites us over to pick up our starter. We meet our little group of friends who are kind enough to let us choose our starter first. Of course, we go with Marisso the Chespin, and in the manga, X was actually a huge shut-in who refused to leave his house. He was a child prodigy in the Pokemon battling scene, but all the pressure from reporters was too much for him, and he ended up locking himself away in his house. So Chespin was meant to break X out of his depression and spark his interest in battling again. You want us to call you Loner? So I had put that since X was given the title of Loner, as all the main characters were known for a special trait. Okay, Loner fits you perfectly.
All around me are familiar faces.
And so, with Marisso on the team, we can take out Shauna's Froakie as our journey officially begins, but we don't actually get any new encounters for the first gym. We're stuck with our grass starter, and a team of bug types will decimate our little guy. But we've got a secret weapon, since at level 8, we can learn the move Rollout, which, as long as we don't miss, could potentially sweep through her entire team. So after making our way to Santaloon City, we can head into the gym to take her on. Viola starts the battle with Surskit, as we're leading with Marisso. Surskit actually outspeeds us and hits us with a weak bubble, as Marisso expertly misses his first rollout. But since Surskit can't really touch us, we can just try again on the next turn. The first one does under half, but with the consecutive hits gaining power on each attack, we can just take him out on the next turn. Viola sends out Vivillon next, who outspeeds us and lands a critical hit infestation, bringing us to the red, so if this rollout doesn't connect, then this is gonna be a wipe. But Marisso the Goat lands it. We take her out with a quad effective hit, winning us the battle and letting us collect our very first gym badge. With the gym taken care of, we can make our way through the routes and arrive at Lumio City. This city, honestly, I don't know if it's just me or are the controls here really bad. The camera is constantly jittering and none of the streets really make any sense. Well, Professor Sycamore is here and he actually challenges us to a battle with the 3 Kanto starters. Since they're all level 10, Marisso just sweeps through his entire team with Rollout, and after the battle, Sycamore even offers us one of the starters to keep, and we end up going with Charmander, whom I named Salome. In the manga, Salome joined X's team as a Charmander, and they actually had a battle here pretty much the same as in the games. This battle somehow sparked something inside X, which was a feeling he had lost after being shut away at home for so long. So after their battle, X decided to accept Marisso onto his team, and he also took Charmander with him to join their journey. A fun little detail about this Charmander to separate him from Blue Starter is that Salome has this cute habit of holding his tail, and this little quirk sticks with him all the way through his evolutions as he grew from Charmander to Charmeleon to even Charizard. And with all this XP, Marisso also hits level 16, so we have an evolution into the ugliest middle stage Pokemon, and honestly the most forgettable one. Quilladin is always the one I forget in Pokedoku, and for good reason, cause this might be one of the worst designed Pokemon in Pokemon history, even worse than Goldengo. Like, there's a certain reputation you need to uphold as a starter, and Quilladin drops the ball hard. But I guess Goldengo also has a reputation as the 1000th Pokemon, and this is like Garbodor or Vanillite levels of ugly. So maybe these guys can meet at the Stupid Ugly Idiot convention and be friends. Now, we've got a couple more routes to clear before facing the next gym leader, so we can make our way through Route 5, where we bump into Korrina and her Lucario. It's a nice way to tease us of the upcoming gym challenges, but she's not our next target. Before we can actually get to him though, we can head through Camphrier Town, and some of these trainers here are honestly gonna be a bigger threat than the actual gym challenge coming up. Like, here's a perfect example. A random trainer here has a level 14 Volbeat with Double Team to boost its evasion, Confuse Ray to make sure we can't do anything, and Moonlight to heal off whatever damage we can actually land. Thankfully, we've got Salome to hard counter him, but seriously, there are so many random trainers with OP Pokemon like this annoying Volbeat that end up being more difficult than the gym leaders themselves. Like, off the top of my head, I remember there's trainers with like Mr. Mime and Kadabra. I think the most infamous is that karate girl with the Halucha. So our strategy going forward is to just avoid these battles because these are easy run enders. Well, after dodging these guys, we can take a little detour with Shauna to help the Parfum Palace folks catch their furfruit. We have a little fireworks show to celebrate, and after all the festivities, we're also given the Pokeflute, meaning we can finally continue on our journey, and with all the trainers around, Salome also evolves into Charmeleon, giving the team another little boost in power. The Pokeflute lets us wake up the sleeping Snorlax, and he was honestly pretty easy to deal with. Morisso sets up a Leech Seed to keep us healthy, and Salome easily handles him with a few Dragon Rages. The Kanto callbacks here are pretty on the nose, but honestly, if we were doing a normal monotype Nuzlocke, this would have been an absolutely goated encounter. Well, after that little pit stop, we can continue making our way through the routes, going through Connecting Cave, and eventually arriving in Ambrit Town. To the south of here, we can take a little detour to Glittering Cave to grab our next encounter. We have to ride on the Rhyhorn to get there, and when we get to Y's team, this guy'll definitely be a struggle. She had a Rhyhorn, but never evolved him. And also her Fletchinder too. For some reason, these later gen Dex holders just stop doing final evolutions, which is my biggest pet peeve. Like, their teams would have been so much cooler if they all evolved into their final forms. I really don't care about the storytelling part, I just want a cool team to finish off the journey. Inside Glittering Cave, we get another encounter, which is gonna be Kanga the Kangaskhan. In the manga, Kanga and X have been partners since childhood, and Kanga was the team member that actually carried them to victory, making X such a famous trainer. But when X started staying home to avoid the paparazzi, he kind of neglected Kanga. And even Lil Kanga, who was the baby in Kanga's pouch, started picking up on X's reclusive habits and started refusing to leave her mother's pouch too. Eventually, she starts to open up again as X starts to warm up to battling. I guess they took their normal pills, am I right guys?
That's what the mask is!
And the three of them are able to bring back the glory days and even Mega Evolve with their strong bond with X. As for the rest of Glittering Cave, it's not a challenge at all as we team up with Y to take out the Team Flare Grunts. And with the scientists saved, we're free to make our way to the next city and start preparing for the next gym challenge. Before we head into Challenge Grant, there's one last encounter to grab up north of Silage City. Unfortunately, this encounter is a Y exclusive encounter, Y the game, not Y the manga character. You see, X has a Manectric on his team, which is a version exclusive and not obtainable in Pokémon X. But with a little bit of movie magic, we're able to encounter a Houndour, the other version exclusive in our game, and trade it over for an Electrike. So just like that, we now have our fourth team member, Elec the Electrike. In the manga, Elec's first appearance was actually pretty diabolical. He came out of nowhere and stole Y's clothes while the group wasn't looking, just to get them to chase him so he could grab a Megastone from the top of a tree, even evolving into Manectric out of excitement. Of course, a Team Flare member ends up stealing the Megastone, so they're forced to fight against his Tyrunt, which, despite Elec's wild charge, Tyrunt ends up resisting all their attacks thanks to its dragon typing. Tyrunt counters back with an Earthquake, and while it looks like Elec's been knocked out, it turns out Trevor's Flabebe had set up a grassy terrain to have the damage. This gives Elec the chance to bite the Team Flare Grunt's leg, while Flabebe sneaks into his pocket to snatch the Megastone back. I like this moment because it feels like the synergies from the Kanto arc, but at the same time, it's lacking a bit of that old school creativity since the grassy terrain tech is just a game mechanic. We don't have stuff like Mr. Mime's barriers just straight up blocking you from passing through it, or like Golduck's innate psychic powers can communicate with the Pokedex. I don't know, I feel like that's something that got a little lost with the later gens, and when I feel like the magic was all with the early gens, this is exactly what I mean. Well, regardless, now that we've taken care of everything, we can finally head into the gym to take on our next gym challenge. Grant leads with Amora, and we start the battle with Kanga. Right off the bat, we can fire off a fake out on the first turn for some chip damage, then follow that up with a quad effective rock smash to nearly take out Amora. They manage to paralyze us in return, and as Grant heals with a hyper potion, we can rinse and repeat and hit another rock smash to take out his lead. That leaves only Tyrunt, but since we're paralyzed, Tyrunt ends up para-flinching us down to red health. But it's not a big problem, as a quick switch into Moriso lets us finish off his last Pokemon with a Needle Arm, winning us a pretty simple badge number 2. Guys, very brief intermission here. We are so close to 20k. I'd love for you to be part of the under 20k club, so if you feel like being part of the journey, definitely feel free to subscribe down below, and also you should leave a like while you're at it. Only if you're actually liking the video though. If you're still on the fence, don't worry. I'm kind of the same way when I watch YouTube, so no hard feelings. Alright, let's jump back into the game. With 2 badges under our belt, we can continue making our way through the routes, going through Geosenge Town and bumping into Korrina. We follow her to the Tower of Mastery, the rite of passage for trainers to unlock Mega Evolution, where, to prove our strength, we have to face off against Y and her newly evolved team members. Kanga actually dominates the entire matchup and sweeps through all of them, taking out Meowstic, Absol, and Braixen without breaking a sweat. And that's all the Mega Evolution story for now, so we can make our way over to Route 12, where we can find our next encounter, Root the Pinsir. In the manga, Root actually had a fierce rivalry with the Scyther. When the gang stumbles upon them, they actually find Scyther knocked out on the ground, having had all its life energy drained thanks to Team Flare's doing. Root, being an honorable opponent, was trying to stop the gang from attacking Scyther, even going as far as breaking X's Pokeball with his horns. We even have a surprise cameo as everyone's favorite rival Blue makes an appearance, but Root snaps his Pokeball as well.
Bruh.
Eventually, X offers Root a spot on the team to take down Team Flare, which he gladly accepts to avenge his friend. So, with everything prepared, it's time to head in and take on our next gym challenge. Korrina leads with Mienfoo, and we start with Salome. This is our best counter since Firefang easily does over half, and since we outspeed, Mienfoo can't start boosting with Power Up Punch. Another Firefang takes care of Mienfoo as Korrina sends out her Machoke. This always baits a Rock Tomb, so that's an easy switch into Moriso to tank the hit. The speed drop doesn't matter as much because we can just set up a Leech Seed and slowly whittle away at his health. A quick Needle Arm later, and Machoke goes down, which now leaves her scariest mon, her Hawlucha. A Flying Press is extremely scary, but since it's both fighting and flying type, we can switch into Elec for the resist. Then, as the Luchador sets up a Hone Claws, we can slow him down with a Thunder Wave before firing off 2 Sparks for the KO, meaning we've just successfully navigated around this difficult battle, letting us collect our 3rd gym badge. With Korrina defeated, she finally sees our battling potential and invites us back to the Tower of Mastery for an official challenge to win the ability to Mega Evolve. But we easily defeat her in the scripted fight, with our Mega Lucario taking out hers since we just simply outspeed. This means we now have access to Mega Evolution, and of course the Charizardite, but that's for later since our level cap doesn't let us evolve just yet. Instead, we now have access to Surf, so we can make our way over to the Skiddo Ranch, and yeah, of course we're gonna ride around on the Skiddo here. But after that little detour, we arrive at Coumarine Town, which has this really cool monorail that separates the top and bottom half of the town. So when you enter, you're at the boring lower level, but after taking the monorail, you end up at the much cooler upper half, where you can even see the other half way off in the distance. I don't know, this part is really cool to me, and it adds a lot of character to this otherwise very plain city, so I like it a lot. And in this upper half, we have our next gym challenge to take on, but I don't think this one's gonna be tough. So with no other evolutions or encounters left, we can head in to take them on. Ramos leads with Jumpluff as we're starting the battle with Salome. Right off the bat, he actually outspeeds us and fires off a decent acrobatics, but we can counter right back with the stronger Fire Fang. And I'm not sure how good that damage roll was, so to play around the crit, I switch into Elec to resist the next one, and on the next turn, we can simply outspeed and take him out with the Spark. This baits out his ace Go-Goat, who sees the super effective Bulldoze, but that's always a safe switch into Root, who can take out his ace with the super effective X-Scissor. And last but not least, his Weepin' Bell is equally unthreatening, as we can one-shot him with another X-Scissor, meaning we've just easily defeated the 4th gym leader, making that half the Kalos region left to take on. So with the gym badge in hand, we can make our way through Route 13 and head into the power plant, where... Okay, I'm gonna complain a bit. What on earth was Game Freak on when they designed this section? The pacing grinds to a halt as you battle through the slog of grunt after grunt with 2 Pokemon each, and their Pokemon are stuff like Golbat, Mightyena, Swalot, like, gee thanks, this is thrilling gameplay. And then you get to the end just to fight Pitbull with, guess what, a Houndoom, which, okay, thematically, that's not so bad. You're Team Flare, and Houndoom's also a Dark type, but then the final boss, Aliana, has another Mightyena? Bruh. This shit sucks. Well, on the bright side, we get enough XP in this little section that Salome evolves into Charizard, and Marisso also evolves into Chestnut. So with Team Flare cleared out, we can head through the rest of the route, skating our way around as we make our way back to Lumio City. With the power restored, Clemont opens up his gym, and once again, since we have no other evolutions or encounters to take care of, we might as well head in to take him on. He leads with Emolga, and the best answer I could find was starting with Kanga. We go for a power-up punch on turn 1, which even though it doesn't do too much damage, it lets us get the +1 attack as Emolga pivots out with the Volt Switch. Clemont switches into Magneton, who just so happens to be weak to our fighting attacks, so another hit brings us to +2 as Magneton only sets up the electric terrain. So one more punch and we can take him out, as we're now sitting very pretty at +3. And since we somehow outspeed his ace Heliolisk, we can just knock him out with the +3 Dizzy Punch. And lastly, against his Emolga, who allowed us to even set up all these boosts, we can take him out with the final Dizzy Punch, meaning we've just cleanly swept through Clemont, letting us collect our 5th gym badge. So with badge number 5 under our belt, we can make our way towards Route 14, which is the spooky swamp themed route, and we've actually got a new encounter here. We catch Garma the Haunter, and in the manga, Garma actually belonged to Korrina's grandfather. By the way, this guy has a name, and his name is Gherkin. Bruh. Man, I'm straight up Gherkin it, and by it, well, let's just say, my Mega Stone. Bruh. Well, in the manga, Garma's first appearance was defending X from an Aegislash's blade, popping out of the ground to intercept the attack. Diantha, Korrina, and Gherkin, man, he is straight up Gherkin it right now. Bruh. They step out to fend off Team Flare, saving our group as Garma would end up bonding with X and join his team. And so, with our final team member, we can make our way through the route, passing through this little spooky section and arriving at Lavere City. And speaking of Lavere City, our next gym challenge is here, and since she specializes in fairy types, our newest team member Garma will be a great answer, especially that we can even evolve her into Gengar. So with everything prepared, we might as well head in to take her on. Valerie leads with Mawile, and we're actually starting with Salome. My genius 100 IQ strategy is to outspeed and land a critical hit Fire Fang, which easily gets the one-shot. That puts us at an immediate advantage as Valerie sends out her Mr. Mime, but since I taught Salome Shadow Claw, we can chunk Mr. Mime down to the red as she only wastes the turn setting up a light screen. So despite Valerie's hyper potions, we can just crit a Shadow Claw for another easy one-shot. That only leaves her ace Sylveon, but he's actually got decent bulk as he tanks a Fire Fang and fires back with a Swift. We can go for another one, bringing Sylveon down to the yellow, but after we're hit with a charm that lowers our attack to -2, our next attack brings him to the red, prompting the AI to heal. And it's pretty clear that our Fire Fangs aren't really working now. So after trying again for a few turns to get a burn, we eventually switch into Garma, who's not only immune to Swift, but we also resist the Dazzling Gleam. So a couple Shadow Balls later and Sylveon goes down, winning us a fairly simple badge number 6. So, with the gym taken care of, Team Flare now decides to take over the Pokeball factory, meaning we need to get roped into another one of their shenanigans. After the slog of grunt battle after grunt battle, we can finally take out the two admins in another underwhelming fight. This one's at least a double battle with a cat and dog theme, but Root can just take out Liepard with an X-Scissor, and Wise Meowstic can tag in to finish off Manectric with a Psychic. No way! Wow, we are lame! Yeah, no duh. All the Team Flare segments so far have been total letdowns. And so, with the factory saved, we can continue on our journey, making our way through the autumn-themed routes and arriving at Dendemil Town. There's not too much to do here, but we can take a little detour through the icy caves up north to stop Team Flare again. This time, they're harassing an Abomasnow, and guess what their admin's team looks like? One single Houndoom.
Bruh.
I don't even know what the point of all this is. Kanga takes care of this potential run ender, and since we boot Team Flare out of the caves, that means the Mamoswine ride is open again, so we've got to make our way over to the actual next town to continue our gym challenge. But truthfully, this one isn't a tough challenge at all, as we've got quite a nice team to handle it. So with the team leveled up and everything else taken care of, we charge straight in to challenge her. Olympia leads with Sigilyph as we're starting with Elec. Right off the bat, we can fire off a Charge Beam, landing a super effective hit and raising our special attack as Sigilyph foolishly sets up a Reflect.
Bruh.
That doesn't affect our special attacks, so we can just take her out with another Charge Beam, boosting our attack a second time. So the fight's pretty much over at this point, as Olympia sends out Slowking next, so we can switch over to the more powerful and more accurate Thunderbolt. But Slowking actually tanks the hit and fires back with a Yawn. That means Olympia has a chance to heal with a Hyper Potion, so I use this opportunity to set up a third Charge Beam, getting another boost, but unfortunately that means we're gonna be put to sleep. But we came prepared with a Hell Chesto Berry, meaning we can wake up immediately and take out the Slowking with another Thunderbolt. And since we're now at +3 special attack, her follow-up Meowstic is a simple one-shot from our Thunderbolt, meaning we've just cleanly swept through the battle, letting us collect our 7th gym badge. It's not all good news though, as we're now invited back to Team Flare's headquarters in order to knock out the climax of the story. The Gen 1 callbacks are pretty on the nose, with the hidden entrance like the Celadon Game Corner, as well as the spinning tile puzzles. It is, again, grunts and admins with only 2 Pokemon each, so I'm gonna skip all this stuff and jump straight to the actual challenge of this section. Deep within the depths of their headquarters, we can find Xerneas being held captive by Team Flare, so after freeing them from their prison, we're forced to do this mandatory catch, angering Lysander as he steps out to challenge us with honestly a pretty tricky battle. He leads with Mienshao, who threatens a speedy high jump kick or a boosted acrobatics, so we're leading with Salome. And with all the energy surging around us, the time has finally come. Salome digs deep and unlocks its ancient potential laying dormant in his DNA, changing his form and mega evolving into Mega Charizard. We immediately take to the skies as Mienshao whiffs a high jump kick, and after they take half their health from the recoil, our 95% accuracy kicks in as we miss our attack. But Mienshao only goes for a Swords Dance, meaning we can just rinse and repeat, flying up high again as Mienshao falls for the same trick, crashing from the high jump kick and taking himself out. We're still in the sky as Lysander sends out Pyroar, so we end up connecting on the next turn with the Tough Claw's boosted hit. So after tanking the Hyper Voice, we can finish off the line with a Slash for the clean KO. Lysander then sends out Honchkrow, but we're very safe to stay in and fire off one more Fly, and since Honchkrow isn't exactly known for his high defense, we can connect for another simple one-shot. That only leaves his ace Gyarados, and after he drops our attack with Intimidate, we've gotta switch out. I switch into Marisso, who, with the Leftovers recovery and Spiky Shield to buy us more turns, we can safely set up the Leech Seed to completely wall his ace. And yeah, his Outrages do pack a punch, but the Leech Seed gives us health back, our Spiky Shield chips him every other turn, and our held Leftovers also gives us a little more longevity, meaning eventually we can completely outstall him, finishing off his ace as Team Flare is officially taken care of. Now, unfortunately, Geosenge Town does get blown up pretty bad, but, we did our best. Can't win them all, am I right? Well, with this section of the story taken care of, we can finally continue our gym challenge as we arrive in Snowbell City, and after pulling Wulfric out of Pokemon Village, that opens up the gym for us. And as I alluded to in the intro of this video, Wulfric's not going to be a difficult challenge at all, so with everything prepared, we might as well head in to take him on. He leads with the Bombasnow as we're starting the battle with Salome. This is our OP strat, since Salome can just outspeed and land a quad effective Fire Fang for the one-shot. That goes for a second Pokemon too, as another Fire Fang is another easy one-shot on his Cryogonal. His last Pokemon, however, is a defensive tank, so Avalugg tanks our Fire Fang as he starts setting up with Curse, boosting his defense as his Ice Body ability even heals him from the hail. This is a losing battle for us, but luckily we've got a backup plan with us, as I send out Elec to target him on the special side. We can land a super effective flamethrower, which gets the very easy one-shot, taking out his ace and winning us our 8th and final gym badge. And just like that, we've now cleared through the main challenge of the game with only one final gauntlet ahead of us. We make our way there, passing through Victory Road, taking out Y one last time as we arrive at the gates of the league. I get the feeling that this might be a tough challenge ahead of us, but I just know our team is itching for a fierce battle. So with everything else prepared, we can head in to take them on. The first challenge in our gauntlet is Seabold, a water-type expert who leads with Clawitzer as we're starting with Elec for the hard counter. Right off the bat, we can immediately fire off a stab super effective Thunderbolt for an easy one-shot. In fact, all of Seabold's team gets taken out by our electric coverage. Gyarados is a quad effective one-shot, we land a crit on Barbaracle for another overkill one-shot, and his last team member Starmie gets outsped and one-shot by a single Thunderbolt, making that a very simple first battle. The next member I decided to challenge was Wickstrom, the Steel-type expert, and this is Salome's time to shine. He leads with Klefki, but a stab super effective Flare Blitz easily one-shots him before he can set up with Spikes. Wickstrom sends out Probopass next, and this guy's got Sturdy and Power Gem, so we've got to bow out. I switch into Elec to eat the Power Gem, baiting an Earth Power and giving us a safe switch into Marisso. Then, using our tried and true Leech Seed strats, we can start chipping away at his health, using Spiky Shield to stall out every other turn, and with the leftovers to give us a bit more health. Probopass eventually goes down to the seeds, as Wickstrom sends out his Ace Aegislash a little early. But Aegislash foolishly goes for a King's Shield, meaning we can set up a Leech Seed and start our stall again. But it's short-lived, since we immediately find an opportunity to fire off a Seed Bomb while he's in Blade form, targeting his weaker defenses to take him out. That only leaves his Scizor, but I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We can set up another Leech Seed, and again, since we have the Spiky Shield chip, plus the Leech Seeds draining a notch of their health each turn, we can very safely outstall him, even switching into Root to finish him off with a strong superpower, winning us the battle and making that 2 down with 2 to go. The third member I chose to fight was Malva, the Fire-type expert. She leads with Pyroar, so that's a great opportunity to lead with Kanga. We start the battle with the Fake Out, getting a little chip before we begin our setup. A power-up punch brings her to half, as we're forced to tank a flamethrower in return, and since she doesn't land the 10% burn, we can just take her out on the next turn with another hit, boosting us to +2 attack as Malva sends out Talonflame. Talonflame actually outspeeds us, which was honestly just an error on my part, cause I don't know, I thought we had enough EVs just naturally collected from our journey to outspeed her, but I guess not. Kanga thankfully tanks the hit, as we can respond back with a +2 return to one-shot her ace. This brings out Torkoal next, but this one we should definitely outspeed, right? Nah, I'm not taking the risk. Torkoal is very bulky on the physical side, so I opt to switch into Gengar for the Levitate immunity. Then, a couple Shadow Balls can 2-shot the turtle, targeting her special defense for more damage. That only leaves her Chandelure, but again, we can just outspeed with another Shadow Ball, getting the clean one-shot and winning us the battle, making that 3 down with only one last challenge to face. And we've saved the best for last, since Drasna and her team of dragon types won't be such a pushover in terms of type matchups. She leads with Dragalge as we're starting the battle with Salome. This is a tricky matchup, but we can outspeed and fire off a super effective Earthquake, bringing her to the yellow as Dragalge responds back with a Surf. This is somehow heal range for Drasna, so a few more EQs can burn all her full restores, eventually taking out her lead. That brings out Altaria next, so we can switch it up and go for a Dragon Claw. And since we didn't Mega Evolve, we can also tank the incoming Dragon Pulse. One more Dragon Claw and Altaria goes down as Drasna decides to send out her Ace Noivern. We've definitely got a switch now, so I bring out Garma on the Dragon Pulse, which unfortunately doesn't do enough damage to proc our Citrus Berry. On the next turn, we can outspeed and hit her with the super effective Dazzling Gleam, but that means we need to survive the next hit, which we just barely managed to do. Our Citrus finally procs now, so we can get a little more health back as we just outspeed and take out her ace with another Dazzling Gleam. And against her final Druddigon, we can switch into Kanga, but Drasna's AI is locked into an endless loop of clicking Dragon Tail. Her other 3 moves are all normal or fighting type, so she ends up dragging Garma back out, meaning we have to try again. I send Kanga back out, who tanks another Dragon Tail, this time dragging out Salome. At least this time, I'm hoping she will click something like Chip Away, so I send out Root, but she goes for yet another Dragon Tail. Okay, I'm just gonna put some funny music over this part, because Salome gets dragged out yet again. And of course, I need to switch out again since we're so low health, so I bring out Root for one more try, and this time, Druddigon clicks Dragon Tail again, but fortunately, it drags out Elec this time. We have an opportunity to paralyze her, and guess what Druddigon does? Yep, she clicks Dragon Tail once again. Garma's dragged out, meaning we have to switch out, and Druddigon can only click Dragon Tail, so we have to gamble again as I bring out Root. But Druddigon actually gets fully parried, meaning we can finally fight back. So one Swords Dance and one X-Scissor later, and Druddigon finally goes down, meaning after much trial and tribulation, we have finally defeated all 4 Elite Four members with only one final challenge left in our journey. At last, it's time to head into the final chamber of the Elite Four, as the glass platform rises from the floor to bring us there. Champion Diantha greets us, but something doesn't feel right. From the bottom of our bag, I can feel it. Something is calling out to us. After this battle, our Nuzlocke challenge will come to an end, and our journey with these guys will be over. We've been through our ups and downs with this team, but I think we all know what they're capable of. Let's give them what they want. It's time to go all out. Diantha starts the battle with Hawlucha as we're starting the battle with Salome. If we're putting on a show, there's no better candidate than Salome, our first team member capable of Mega Evolving, to take the stage. We immediately Mega Evolve into Mega Charizard and take to the skies, as Hawlucha only sets up a Swords Dance. But that's no issue for us, as we connect on the next turn with a Tough Claws boosted hit, scoring an easy one-shot for the first KO of the match. Diantha sends out Tyrantrum next, so Salome can take a little rest. Marisso comes out on the head smash, and since we can resist the hit with our fighting type, we're very safe to stay in, set up the Leech Seeds, and slowly drain his health to take out the Tyrant King. But from the back of the party, I feel someone calling. With a triumphant outcry, Root switches out of his Pokeball, tanking the incoming Dragon Claw as he reveals he's Mega Evolved as well. Then, with the super effective superpower, we can outspeed and finish off the Lizard for the second knockout of the match. Diantha sends out Aurorus next, trying to target our newfound flying type with her ice moves, but we can tag out into another team member as Kanga hits the field, revealing that she too has Mega Evolved. Lil Kanga hops out of the pouch as the mother and daughter combo tags Aurorus with a fake out power-up punch combo, and with our double hits, we're scoring a free +2 to our attack with each hit. Diantha tries to heal off the damage, but one more power-up punch boosts our attack so much that we can take her out from full health. That's half her team taken care of, as Diantha sends out her tanky Goodra, who's aiming to land a Focus Blast. So that's the perfect opportunity to switch into Garma, who's Mega Evolved into Mega Gengar. Our Dazzling Gleam connects for a big hit, bringing the tanky Goodra to under half, as Goodra fires back with a Dragon Pulse, which Garma easily tanks. Then one more Dazzling Gleam and her dragon is felled. Diantha's down to 2 Pokemon now as she sends out her Gourgeist, and while a Phantom Force would be scary, we can safely switch into Elec, dropping her attack with Intimidate, which lets us easily tank the hit as we can fire back with the super effective Flamethrower, which is another easy one-shot. And just like that, Diantha's down to 1 remaining Pokemon, her Ace Gardevoir, who actually busts out a Mega Evolution of her own as she transforms into Mega Gardevoir. But Elec was prepared for this, firing off a Thunder Wave to permanently cut her speed for the remainder of the battle. Gardevoir fires back with a Moonblast, and we tank it. We live on 31 HP, so we can save Elec's life as we switch out into Kanga. And what better way to bring it home than to have X's childhood partner score the killing blow as a fake out chips Gardevoir for a chunk of health, and a stab return boosted by Kanga and Lil Kanga's friendship with X takes out her remaining HP, meaning we've done it. We've just officially become the new champions of Kalos, proving once and for all that we can indeed beat Pokémon X with X's manga team, and with no lives lost on top of it all. Hey you. I just wanted to say, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end of the video. If you're still here, you must be pretty invested, huh? Well, for the real fans out there, the real Magnus heads, I wanted to throw this out there. Obviously, the manga's not gonna last forever. I'm gonna run out of characters eventually, so I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been really itching to challenge myself with difficulty ROM hacks for a more true Nuzlocke experience. I feel like the manga Nuzlockes are a good challenge, especially like the Platinum one. I had to come up with a creative solution with Foresight in order to beat Fantina, which it looks like that kind of strategy really hits well with people because I saw a lot of comments talking about how that moment really resonated with them. So I want to get more moments like that, and also to have challenge runs where I can actually catch more than 6 Pokemon. So that way I can have Sax play into the strategy, because right now, like if I lose a team member, the run is basically over. So my thinking was to make it a journey, to have like this metaphorical mountain to climb. I'd start with the vanilla games that are known to be more challenging, so Black 2 and White 2, then Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Then would be the introduction of the Drayano ROM hacks, so Renegade Platinum, Storm Silver, Sacred Gold, that kind of stuff. Also, I have Eternal X and Wilting Y on my list, and also Vintage White. I just gotta find the best placement for those. And towards the top, I have the 3 big ones, at least in my opinion. I have Inclement Emerald, then Radical Red, and then lastly, as the final challenge, I'll have Run and Bun. So this is my rough idea. If I'm missing something, definitely let me know. Okay, that's all I've got for this video. Man, if you're still here, I don't even know what to say. Leave a comment if you're at this point. I just want to see who's actually here. But if you want another video to watch, you can click here for that Platinum video I was talking about. We actually use the same strat for Cynthia's Spiritomb, so our Drain Punch could be super effective. It was one of the most fun challenges I've ever done. I think if you like this video, you should definitely check it out. Or if you've already seen it, check it out again. I don't know, I'm not your mom. Alright, see ya.